Welcome, everyone. I am really delighted and grateful that you made the time to be here today. This session is our seventh session in a series of 8 planned events on the use of hypnotic techniques in coaching. And we are nearing the end of our series, and I want to say thank you to everyone that has joined us in this journey, whether you were present in our live sessions or listening to the recordings. I really hope that there's something that you take from these sessions that will make you look at the world a little differently as a coach and, of course, as a human being. To start today, I would like for all of us to join in an exercise just to expand our sensory awareness. And as you're sitting wherever you are in your chair, I want you to just lean back and relax. And keep your eyes open for a moment and just take a deep breath in and out. And another deep breath in and out. And just find a tempo of breathing that is comfortable to you. To start with, I'm going to ask you to just sit upright with your neck straight and your spine extended. Try to sit in such a way that your shoulders are above and in line with your hips, with your hands comfortably resting in your lap. And I would like you to find a spot on the wall in front of you, a spot that is a little higher than your eye level, and focus on that spot. Make sure that you see that spot clearly with unwavering focus. And without moving your head or your eyes, I would like you to start relaxing your eyes and start noticing everything that is not that spot in front of you. Soften your eyes and relax it so that your peripheral vision expands, and notice what you are noticing now that you did not notice before. And while your eyes are open, seeing that point in front of you and everything else in your peripheral vision, just focus on what you can smell where you are, and become aware of any smell that you've not focused on yet. What are you noticing now? What smells are coming into your consciousness now? And with your eyes open, aware of the smells around you, start listening to every sound that is not my voice. And what sounds are you hearing now? What sounds were you not listening to when you were listening to me? What are you hearing that is in front of you? To the left of you? To the right of you? What sounds are coming from behind you. And notice what you are hearing now that you did not hear before. And in a moment, I will ask you to close your eyes, but not yet. Start by taking a deep breath in and out. And another breath in and out. And on your next in breath, just breathe your eyes closed and relax into your chair, feeling safe, feeling warm and comfortable. And notice how your breath settles in your body, inhabiting it, a life force nourishing it. And pay attention to how your body feels, all the sensations, all the feelings, the tingles, little aches and stiffness. And notice what you did not notice before. And focus your attention on your left foot, feeling every toe, all of the bottom of your foot and the top. And notice how you can be aware of your right foot at the same time. Both your feet together. And let your awareness spread to your hands, noticing both of your hands while being aware of both of your feet. And extend that awareness to include all of your body. And notice what you did not notice before. And how do you feel having noticed this new awareness? And keeping your eyes closed, remembering to breathe, I would like to share a poem with you, a poem called A Moment Without Thought by Steve Taylor. And notice what you notice listening to this poem. A moment without thought, and the background noise ceases. And I can suddenly hear the silence between sounds, the silence beneath sound, from which all sounds emerge like waves from the sea. A moment without thought, and the fog disperses, and the world is filled with translucent light, new dimensions of detail, and sharpness, and color, and depth. A moment without thought, and these suburban streets are a pristine new world, like a garden glistening with dew, as if a husk of familiarity has cracked and fallen away. A moment without thought, and I'm no longer standing separate, no longer an island, but part of the sea, no longer a static center, but part of the flowing stream. A moment without thought, and the train has stopped between stations, and there was never any motion, never any track. A moment like a wormhole, infinitely expanding, like stepping through a narrow gate to find an endless open plain, the panorama of the present. And this new world of no thought is neither alien nor unfamiliar, but a place where benevolence blows through the air and soft shimmering energy fills every space. And the sunlight is the translucent white light of spirit, the deepest, closest, warmest place, the ground where I am rooted. And while that is settling in, just take another deep breath in and out, relaxing for a moment with new awareness. And then return to this moment. Open your eyes, be present now. I hope you are all prepared to go deep today. Today, we will discuss attention shifting coaching to connect and expand your and your coaching clients' imaginative awareness. But before we discuss attention shifting coaching in detail, I want to remind you of our session next week. In part 8, which will be the last part of this series, we will discuss the use of hypnotic language in a coaching conversation to suggest to our clients states and ways of thinking to create options and possibilities. Hypnotic language is simply a set of linguistic patterns that we can use to guide our clients into a reflective state and to help them find solutions and overcome their problems at the same time. It is a way of communicating with your client's extended consciousness, which includes both the conscious and the unconscious mind, by turning the attention inward. In this session, we will discuss the Milton model and how you would prepare for a hypnotic coaching conversation. So don't miss this discussion next week. So let's get on to our topic for today, attention shifting coaching. It is simply a conversational approach to coaching that explores and focuses on the non-obvious parts of our thinking. It is an approach that I learned from one of my teachers and role models, John Overdurf. Getting back to attention shifting coaching, it is a method or an approach that can create shifts quickly and easily for clients on the way to achieving outcomes. It is about moving attention on a conscious and unconscious level through the senses and the models of the world we hold. It is an effective process to create hypnotic trance and to expand your awareness to achieve goals and outcomes vital to you. As a topic, it is a larger topic than we have time for today, but I would like to cover some basic principles and share with you a few simple techniques which you will be able to integrate into your coaching practice. I want to start with discussing some neuroscience that underpins this approach. And the first concept is that of neural pathways. Over time, neural pathways form in the brain based on our experiences, our memories, and our habitual thinking. And our interest in this topic starts with Donald Hebb, a Canadian psychologist who focused his research on how a young brain and an older brain processes information differently. And he believed that everything in the brain was interrelated and worked together. His theory was that everything that we experience in our environment fires a set of neurons, which he called a cell assembly. This cell assembly is the brain's thoughts or ideas. And multiple cell assemblies then work together to form phase sequences, which are streams of thoughts. Now, once these cell assemblies and phase sequences form, it can be activated by stimuli from the environment. Therefore, the more stimulating and vibrant the environment, the more the cell assemblies grow and learn. And based on this research, he formulated something that became known as Hebb's law. And it's a very simple principle. Neurons that fire together wire together. The second concept I want to talk about is the concept of neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity is the ability of the brain to change continuously throughout our lives. We can observe neuroplasticity at multiple scales, from microscopic changes in individual neurons to larger scale changes such as the cortical remapping of the brain in response to injury. Neuroplastic changes happen through changes in our behavior, stimuli from our environment, our thoughts, and our emotions. And neuroplastic changes arising from such cognitive functions and personal experience is called activity-dependent plasticity. Activity-dependent plasticity implies that when a neural pathway is activated, it becomes plastic. And in that moment, it can be changed. Then the third concept is the concept of novelty. And novelty is anything that is new to us. The experience of novelty can take many forms. Meeting someone new, learning a new skill, doing something differently, or experiencing something familiar in a new and different way. Most of us naturally prefer novelty, as long as it does not come with some perceived threat, because novelty makes us happy. Brain research has shown that a rush of dopamine accompanies fresh experiences of any kind. And dopamine makes us feel good. And we crave new experiences because of that feel-good rush that we experience every single time we do something new and exciting. This attraction to novelty motivates us to then explore and learn more about new environments. And ultimately, our adventurousness rewards us with yet another dose of dopamine and ultimately a greater chance of survival. So over time, we need that dopamine rush to keep us motivated to keep going in life, to learn, to work, to succeed. And when we no longer feel this rush of dopamine, we will give up on an activity that doesn't offer excitement, and we'll start looking for pleasure elsewhere. Any success we want is dependent on this principle, since we become bored and unmotivated if we don't find sufficient new challenges. Even our closest personal relationships can break down if they succumb to predictable routines. Without novel experiences, creativity and innovation are practically impossible, since we don't challenge our brains to consider new perspectives or to integrate new information. As coaches, this is useful knowledge, and it gives us a starting point for brain-based change and learning. And then I want to get to the last concept, and that is the one of attention and attention shifting. And attention is where your awareness is focused right now. You might be sitting, listening to everything that I'm saying to you. So your awareness is focused on the information that you are getting from me. Attention shifting simply moves it elsewhere. So let me illustrate that with an example. And I'm going to invite you to think of an issue or a problem that you want to change. And it doesn't have to be a big problem or a big issue or a complicated one, but bring that problem or issue into your consciousness now. And then I'm going to ask you to reflect with me on the following questions about your problem or issue. So, as I ask these questions, I'm asking these questions about your problem or issue. And I'll start with the first one. What are you experiencing now? In terms of your problem or issue, what do you see now? And what are you feeling now? What are you hearing now? And what are you thinking now? And those are very simple questions that I'm asking about a problem or an issue that you're experiencing now. But if you could just take a step back and almost look at what was happening from a meta perspective, just notice how these questions moved your attention. So now I want to take it one step further and I want to introduce novelty on top of these questions. So, in terms of your problem or issue, I'm going to ask you a series of questions again. And just notice what you notice. And I will start with the same first question. In terms of your problem or issue, what are you experiencing now? What have you not been experiencing that you are experiencing now? What do you see now? What have you not been seeing that you are seeing now? What are you feeling now? What have you not been feeling that you are feeling now? What do you hear now? What have you not been hearing that you hear now? What are you thinking now? What have you not been thinking that you are thinking now? Okay, and that's the second set of questions. And just for a moment, consider, how has this expanded your awareness around this problem or issue that you are experiencing? And just take a moment and make a mental note. And then we're going to take novelty to another level. And once again, in terms of your problem or issue, I'm going to ask you to give yourself permission to really surrender and deeply consider these questions and notice where your attention goes and how that expands your awareness. So, in terms of your problem or issue, I would like you to reflect on the following. What are you experiencing now? What have you not been seeing that you see now? What are you feeling now? What have you not been hearing that you are hearing now? What do you see now? And what have you not been thinking that you are thinking now? What do you hear now? What have you not been experiencing that you are experiencing now? What are you thinking now? And what have you not been feeling that you are feeling now? So just sit back and take a deep breath and just notice what you noticed. And just consider for a moment, how did this collection of questions drive your attention differently to the questions before? In the coaching conversation, we want to activate the neural pathways that need adaptation by bringing the change to conscious processing. While a neural pathway is activated, we want to introduce novelty and new experience to facilitate the rewiring of the thinking and, of course, to motivate change. We introduce novelty and new experience through creating space for attention to go to places it does not usually go or usually perceive. And by doing this, we create the likelihood of developing classic hypnotic phenomena. Now, to do this, there's a specific process we follow in creating change, which in NLP we call the meta pattern of coaching. And it follows the following structure. Step 1, associate to the present state. Step 2, dissociate from the present state. Step 3, associate to resources. And step 4, associate the resources to the present state. Okay, so let's walk through this in a little bit more detail. So we start with step 1, associating to the present state. This step allows us to understand the issue or the situation that needs to change that the client presents to us. And we facilitate the client to be in touch with the conditions they want to change before they change. And this association into the situation activates the neural pathways associated with the problem or associated with the desired change. Now, it's very important. If the neural networks aren't lit up, the coaching intervention will not work. The neural network does not become plastic if it's not activated. So in step one, we want our client to deeply associate within the problem or into the desired change they want. And we basically, in this first step, want our client to answer the question, what is your problem or issue? Then we move to step two, which is dissociating from the present state. And this step is to get the client to break away from the present state to another state that opens up other neurological possibilities. And we typically do this by diverting attention away from the problem state and deactivating the neural pathway that we ultimately want to change. Now, ways of doing this are, for example, breaking rapport with your client, changing topics, starting a discussion on something unrelated, or even redirecting attention to something in the environment. I don't know if anyone else can hear the beeping of my microwave oven downstairs. That was just an example, because the moment I start talking about the beeping of my microwave downstairs, your attention flows to something different. In the second step, our aim is to understand how does the client want to be different. And then in step three, we associate to the resources. Milton Erickson used to say, we all have all of the resources we need inside of us. So in this step, we elicit the resources that the client needs to solve the problem or to achieve the outcome they desire. And in this stage, we will use multiple techniques which activates new neural networks. So in this part of the conversation, we will take a solution-focused approach, and we will aim to generate new perspectives, new ideas, or new possibilities to resolve or create the changes that our client wants. And this step is also where we introduce novelty to create the release of dopamine and the resulting motivation surge. And in this step, we want our client to answer the question, what is it like to be different? Or how would you be if you are different once this problem is solved, once this desired state is achieved? And that brings us to step four, associating resources to the present state. And this is the step where the actual change happens and where we make the new connections and integrate it into the nervous system. By associating into the present state with all the new resources that we can bring to the present state, we activate the old neural pathway, but with the benefit of all the new resources, we rewire the neural pathway. And then with repetition, we reinforce a powerful resource state. And in this step, we want our client to answer the question, as you are feeling different, thinking of your problem, is this problem still a problem? Okay, so let's put this into practice. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to guide you through a very simple coaching conversation. And I'm going to ask you to just follow along and surrender to this process and notice what you notice. In this process, we're going to have a conversation. We're going to find a present state. We are going to dissociate from that present state, figuring out how we want to be different. We're going to associate into a resource state, and then we're going to bring all of those resources to our problem state and notice what happens. Step one, which is associating to the present state. So I want you to sit back and relax and just be fully present in this moment. And remember to breathe. And I'm going to facilitate you through this simple process. And again, I'm going to ask you to allow yourself to surrender to this exercise and be curious about where this exercise will take you and what the result would be. So I'm going to invite you to think about a different issue or problem you would like to resolve. And it doesn't have to be a big or a complicated one. Can be if you want, but it doesn't have to. And just bring that problem or issue into your consciousness now. And notice what this problem or issue is about and what it does to you and how it plays out in your life. And if there are others involved in it, just notice who is involved. And if it's the kind of problem that occurs only in specific places, just notice where it happens. Now, and then step two, how would you like to be different? And then let's go to step three, associating to resources. What are you focusing on that makes it seems to you that this issue or problem is not changing? Or let me rephrase, what are you focusing on that makes it seem that the issue is not changing in the way that you want? What is changing about the issue that you were having in the way that you want that you hadn't been paying attention to? And what's happening now? What have you not been paying attention to that is not the problem that is changing the way that you want? And as you are considering what you've not been paying attention to, that is not the problem that is changing the way you want. What are you feeling now? And what are you noticing now? Which brings us to step 4. As you are feeling and noticing what you are noticing, what happens when you think about that problem now? Attention shifting coaching is an excellent tool for the coach who wants to expand a client's way of thinking and thereby expanding their possibilities, their awareness, and of course, their ability to change. And we do this by focusing on novelty, attention shifting, and focusing specifically on expanding their awareness. Attention shifting coaching allows the client to connect with their senses and find answers in a different way of thinking. And I would like to encourage you all to explore this technique for yourselves. Practice using it for yourself and see the possibility that it opens up for you. And then go and try it with a partner or a client and see what differences you can create for them. So, thank you very much for showing up today and good luck trying this out.